Gentlemen, we got to have a conversation about this. And I put Brittany Renner on the thumbnail for a reason. The religious rebranding, the church, the Bible thumpers. Many of them come into my channel and try to lecture us men, which the Bible forbids even women from preaching to men. Any woman that comes in here and tries to talk to us about God or religion is already living in sin. But I digress from that point. What I see right now, with inflation the way it is, the economy is getting bad. A lot of women that have mismanaged their youth see, they all want to be married. I don't blame them. If you can, look, ladies, I ain't no hater. If you can find a sucker jellyback simp to overlook your past and marry you up and help take care of you and your kids from another man, or, take you up after you've been vigorously and viciously pounded out here, misused and abused by Thuggo, salute to Black Ram for that, Thuggo or whatever dude that aroused you in your youth and didn't marry you, the guy you've been chasing for years, the guy who disappointed you, the guy who didn't show up on Valentine's Day, and you want yourself a nice guy, one of these nice, good, nice, soft jellybacks out here, got a good job, maybe he works at UPS or got a craft or a skill, but he's a good, solid income producer. Reliable, dependable, doesn't make you moist, but he's dependable and reliable. You've got to convince that guy that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the quickest and easiest way for a woman to do that is to rebrand herself with religion. I call the church now has become the ground zero for the whole phase reset. The celibacy movement. I've been celibate for 5 years, but I have 200 bodies before then. So now she said, Jesus has cleansed me of all the heavy pounding that I've had over the years. And I'm a born again Christian. And if you have a question about it, the pastor's on board with this too, because, he's got all these women in the church and you got to marry them off. And the state also wants these women married off. I mean, some of these women don't have any money for retirement or pension or benefits or anything else like that. There's not enough money to sustain a lifestyle. Not all women. Now, ladies, if this video doesn't apply to you, keep it moving. But for those women that have mismanaged their youth, a sucker simp, that Boyce Watkins type guy who comes and he's been waiting for her. She was 23 years old and she basically curbed him, friend zoned him, and went for I call them the alpha widows. These dudes are like waiting on the sideline, like waiting for that alpha widow, waiting for that marriage to not work out or whatever, or that relationship to fail. I'll finally get my hands on her. I don't care if she got 1,000 miles. 2 million miles on her. I got her. And he's been thirsting in the shadows. Yeah, this is opportunity. But anyhow, found Jesus, found the church. But really the church and religion is just a grift. Because what they really want is a secure contract with the state that gives them leverage to acquire your resources, the retirement plan. Because the man who they really want either don't want them or have too many options and won't sign that deal long term. So what do we have? They look for somebody who's palatable enough or digestible enough where they consider their girlfriend's look. He ain't the greatest looking, but he's stable. And he's got money. Because when these women, that's what they do. They get together and they evaluate the fifth place finisher, the fourth place finisher. They say, whoa, well, he's got a nice pension. He don't look too bad. He's clean. He got a little belly on him and whatever else, but he's got a good job. Girl, you got to hit the lottery. Because women prioritize survival, especially in this inflated economy. And he's he treats you nice. Everything that they're talking about is what he does for you, for them to make them feel good. But the religious part of it is to use the religious strength to, because if you challenge their history or whatever, look, I've been born again, and anything that happened before then, you see, I've been cleansed by the blood. And if you challenge that or to question that is to question Jesus. So now you on a religious, they use a religious, how would I put it? Duress for a simp, not for no real man. I know most brothers, they may kick rocks. They ain't going for that. So the idea is rebranding. So the church is being used. Well, the pastor's using some of the facts. Not all. Look, there's some good pastors out here. I ain't gonna knock that. But now the church is like a reconditioning institution for hoes. Or people that women have mismanaged their youth. Or you have the Christian feminists. These are the women, and even Kevin Samuels have talked about them. They're coming there and they're pontificating and holding their hands up in the air, praise Jesus, and their husband looking at them like this. They got massive respect for their husband or the boss at the job. They come home, they are disrespectful as shit, passive-aggressively disrespectful. They too are a problem. But it's all a grift. It's all a hustle. It's all a manipulation tactic to get the most important thing that they value, which is leverage. And I told you before, all things are tested under stress, pressure, all things in terms of relationships or even products. Pressure, stress, time. You see? It's not the ability to perform in 1 year, 2 year, whatever. Try that shit in 10 years. This is a Toyota that I'm in. Oh, this thing is durable. I've had to make repairs, but small repairs. But everything is tested in the distance. But the religious grift, and in this economy that we have right now, Kevin Marsh takes over the Fed in May. He replaces Jerome Powell. I'm sure there's going to be money printing. There's going to be more inflation. Prices are not going anywhere down anytime soon. Being single for women is expensive. I make all the repairs on my house. This car, I fix everything. I've changed the alternators. I've changed this. I've changed all that. I save money on repairs. That $200 an hour labor, I don't pay for that shit. I just pay for the parts and fix it myself because I have the skill to fix it. I just change brakes all around on my car myself in my driveway. Women can't do that. Women don't do those things. Not all. They go pay $250 an hour or $150 an hour, whatever, to pay those. We're not like women. We save money. We save money over the Valentine's Day weekend if we're single. I save money on the housing. I have one mouth to feed. I've already raised my family. But the idea of this, men or anybody thinking that any of this shit is legitimate. Now, don't get me wrong. I support legitimate relationships out here in terms of men and women getting together. I'm not a promoter of single life and whatever else. But what I see is just bullshit out here. And what happens inevitably is this rebranding or I call it relationship price gouging that's attempted by using the religious backdoor or the religious church and try and increase the value of what's being offered to men in relationships long term. Basically, it's like somebody who has, 200 bodies and they want to be treated like a virgin. Or somebody who's past a peaceful life is 51 years old. Imagine if I was to go back and say, you know what? Because I have a son that's an athlete. Imagine if I had to go back to university and say, you know what? I need some NIL on these old ass knees that I got right here. They'd be like, get the hell up out of here. So what you have is a lot of older, with no disrespect to the older ladies, that want to be treated like they're 22 years old. You're not having no kids. You're not building a man's legacy. And they'll do like they'll come and they'll do like the rebranding thing, and they want men to treat them like they were brand new, fresh out the packet, date them like they were brand new, marry them like they were brand new. They're looking for a retirement plan, and they want the state to give them leverage in the relationship. Because as soon as they get that leverage, maybe a year or two, they start misbehaving in the marriage and start talking shit. So for whoever fool is to sign on to those deals, the women already lived their life. And now it's time to get some security, because I hear single life is rough for women. It's a picnic and a walk in the park for men. Unless you're one of those guys that don't have any hobbies, don't have any friends, and don't have anything going on with your life. Because again, I always tell a guy, loneliness is just horniness turned upside down. Period. But you think you're going to get something out of those individuals, you're crazy. Because as soon as that contract, as soon as that leverage is given in that situation, the mediocrity comes. So it's just an insurance policy. So the church becomes in a way to try and backdoor marriage. With marriage, it's the insurance policy for them to be able to rest in their mediocrity. The weight's going to start coming on. The disrespect's going to start coming. And everything, they'll just go to the church Wednesday and Friday and Sunday, because it's like some type of, club for retired, and that will become their purpose. What will not become their purpose is your ass, because they'll revert back, because they've got the insurance policy, they've got what they want, and the relationship is going to become about them, because you were not their first choice. You're like the fourth choice. They've already lived their life. Now you're just an insurance policy. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think what happens inevitably is, because I see a lot of these people come into this channel and they have all these scriptures and quotes and all this religious stuff. And most of it is just grifting or gaslighting value, rebranding. And I think that fishing for a simp and religious rebranding is going to increase even more in 2026 and beyond. Because at the end of the day, the economy has a factor. Money matters. Survival is going to be prioritized over feelings, over preference, over everything else. And that's not the way you want to be in a relationship with a woman. You want to be in a relationship with a woman that was naturally raised to be under the leadership of a man or be a wife. Not somebody who wants to be in a relationship with you out of duress. It's like you don't see male lions in the wild in relationships with hyenas. She doesn't want to be under your leadership. She wants to be under your wallet. She only looks at the retirement plan and benefits. Not that she wants to be with you or gives a rat's ass about you as an individual or plans to offer you value in exchange for your protection and provision. She just wants the security of that and wants the relationship to be all about her. Because that's what you have. You have a lot of these dudes that get into these plans with these women that have mismanaged their youth. It turns out into a disaster. Anyhow, peace and blessings to you guys. Leave your comments down below. But hey, the rebranding is here. I see them all the time. Women on social media, my social media that I know personally. And I know their histories. But again, to another man in another state, they're brand new. Just don't let it be you. Peace and blessings. Make sure you guys hit the like button.